Classic era has been on a significant upwards trend lately, with lots of people returning to the roots of Vanilla WoW or Classic WoW and getting the urge to play Vanilla WoW again. In this video, I want to talk about how popular Classic WoW, specifically Classic era and Classic Hardcore, has become recently, looking at some of the statistics we have available to us. The simple fact is, if you haven't touched Classic era in the last few months, you might have the completely false vision of what those servers look like, as they have been absolutely empty and barren for months, pretty much ever since they were introduced, and now that has pretty much taken a complete 180 turnaround to where some Classic era servers are surging in popularity and feels like an absolute breeze to play on. So in this video, we will look at why the population of Classic era has been going up so much lately, and trying to show you guys just how popular Classic era is. The fact is, I absolutely love Classic WoW, and I've been having a blast playing Classic era servers on and off recently, just logging in to chill out and level a bit in the Vanilla WoW universe, and hopefully by the end of this video you might consider giving it a try yourself if you haven't already. So let's talk about some boring statistics to establish the fact that Classic era servers are in fact popular. First, let's look at raiding. I will show a couple of screenshots on the screen right now taken directly from Warcraft logs the last couple of days, showing how many guilds and pugs are running these raids on the Classic era servers, showing there is in fact a population of people that have returned to Classic era and are raiding through the Classic raids, whether that is for nostalgia reasons, or to gear out their characters, or simply the different raiding environment that exists in Vanilla compared to any other version of the game. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say that the raiding community on Classic era is more popular than it is in Wrath Classic, as that is simply not true. I'm just here to show you that there is consistent amount of raid groups going on Classic era servers, both the guild groups and pugs, and Classic era raids will obviously never reach the heights of Wrath Classic, because Classic era are servers where a lot of people have copies of their old Classic servers that are fully geared out, therefore a lot of people don't need any gears from raids, and because there are no updates coming to these servers, they don't really have anything to gear towards either. But if you haven't experienced vanilla raids, or you have a character that you want to gear out on Classic era for some reason, there's absolutely a community for that. Next up, let's talk about Classic Hardcore. For those of you who don't know what that is, it is basically a one life challenge in Classic WoW that is happening mostly on Classic era servers, where people try to level up all the way from level 1 to level 60 without dying. There are a couple more rules involved when it comes to grouping, like you can only run each dungeon once and you can only run it with other hardcore people obviously, to make dungeons more difficult and dangerous, and basically it's a very different and challenging way to play the game that a lot of people have started doing recently. The hardcore challenge is a massive reason why Classic era servers have been popping off recently, and we actually have some numbers to back up this statement. Playing on Hydraction Waterlords on the Alliance side, which is only one server in the EU region and only one faction, there are more than 6 filled up hardcore guilds running, and in my guild, which is Mortal 4, we are constantly between 120 and 150 players online at the same time. Looking through the other Mortal guilds, we can see similar numbers, obviously capping out at 50 through the /who search, but there's basically just around 100 people online in each Mortal guild on this server, meaning there's close to 1,000 people playing the hardcore challenge at the same time on one server and on one faction. There's obviously going to be people playing on other factions as well and on other servers, plus we have the North American region, which is possibly even bigger than the hardcore EU region due to the fact that a lot of big name streamers in the hardcore community are playing on North American servers. We can also simply take a look at the Classic Hardcore add-on, which is an add-on developed by the hardcore community managers and is intended for hardcore players, so the only people that will have downloaded this add-on are people who obviously are playing in the hardcore challenge. Well, this add-on has 221,000 downloads. that is almost 250,000 downloads for a player-made game mode. I mean, based on those numbers alone, anyone saying we don't need or deserve official hardcore servers at this point need a wake-up call. If all those 221,000 players pay a monthly sub of $10, that is $2.2 million per month, straight in Blizzard's pocket. And all we really need is one hardcore server per region, and obviously, once we have an official hardcore server, even more people will play on them, due to them being more recognizable, easier to play, and easier to know about. And just to throw a quick promotion in here as well, if you are looking to take part of the hardcore challenge, I highly recommend using the leveling add-on called RestedXP, which gives you a leveling route based on your class and race, optimized for you individually, and there's even a hardcore option within the add-on to skip the most dangerous quests. As this is on hard classic era servers, leveling takes a lot of time, and following a leveling add-on like RestedXP will make the journey a lot easier and a lot faster. You can check out RestedXP through the link down below. So now that we have established that Classic Era has seen a significant increase to its player base recently, I want to talk about why they have suddenly started popping off and becoming so popular. First off, people simply miss vanilla. Enough time has passed now to the point where people miss the general feeling of playing vanilla. The tight-knit community, grouping up to do dungeons, walking to the dungeon together, bonding over open world activities, and making friends in the game itself. The further we get into WoW's expansion timeline, the more of that feeling is lost, and it's already started happening in Wrath of the Lich King Classic, which is why a lot of people have gone back to Classic Era. To mention a couple of examples, less open world activities, more raid logging, more gold buying, less farming, less chatting while doing dungeons, people requiring certain gear scores for raids, and even for heroic dungeons. People want to min-max absolutely everything, chat as little as possible, and instead of developing friendships in the game, people want to be at maximum efficiency and maximum speed, treating the game more like a job or a chore rather than a fun hobby. Secondly, people miss leveling. It's weird because a lot of people say they hate leveling, but in Classic Era, and especially Classic Hardcore, 90% of the game is spent leveling, if not more than 90% as well. The simple fact is, leveling triggers a lot of psychological functions that we as humans are looking for in games, and even if you personally hate the idea of leveling, it will to some extent trigger these functions for you as well. For each level you get, your characters get stronger, and leveling feels smoother, hitting you with a small spike of dopamine. When you complete a difficult or lengthy quest and finally get that huge upgrade you've been looking for, you feel a sense of accomplishment, and the big goal of leveling is to hit max level, aka level 60, but on the way there you hit plenty of small sub-goals that all give you a spike of dopamine and a sense of accomplishment. For example, when you hit level 10 and start working on your talent system, or if you're playing a hunter and you finally get your pet, or if you're playing a feral and finally get cat form, or if you're playing a moonkin and you finally get the moonkin form, or if you're playing a frost mage and finally get blizzard, or hitting level 40 and finally getting your mount. And lastly, the world of vanilla WoW is just way different than any other expansion. Maybe it's due to not having flying mounts, maybe it's the 40-man raids, maybe it's the fact that leveling takes time and takes you across the entire world to show you just how big the world actually is, maybe it's the friends you make while leveling. It's difficult to pin it all on one thing really. But hey, Classic Era is popping off and I'm happy about it. Are you?